music history is a response to the period before that, and that is very evident during the classical time period. Baroque previously was very ornamented and flashy, but then we get to classical and it's all about simplifying it and kind of bringing it back down to the basics. And when I say classical, I mean the time period. A lot of people, when they think classical, they think the broad term classical music. And I bet some of you are thinking, wait, haven't we been talking about classical music this whole time? Yes and no. We've been talking about the genre classical music, but we haven't been talking about the era of classical music, which is also a genre, so it gets really confusing. But I will specifically say era or time period during live classes in this video to help to clarify.
So the classical era was between 1750 and 1820, and this era was all about simplification and reform. So the Baroque period before this was all about ornamentation, craziness, what can we do? But the classical period was a direct response to this, and it was all about toning it down. And because of this, we get homophony. So basically, what happened is they took out all the parts, everything that was fluff and extra and unnecessary. And so homophonic music has one line of accompaniment and one lead voice instrument that has the melody. There's just two parts, not a lot happening. And it also, music from this period relies heavily on harmonic progression. Now, harmonic progression is a sequence of chords that follow a very, very specific pattern. We're not going to go through what those different patterns are, but this was really honed in on, and so music became more predictable to our ears because we had that pattern to rely on. We still use these patterns that were created during the classical era today to create our music. Even your pop songs rely on this old harmonic progression. We also get absolute music. This is music for music's sake. It's in the Baroque era we had program music, and so this is a direct response to that. So instead of having program music, now we have music just for music. And so we get titles like Symphony Number 1, Number 2, Number 5. And because they weren't about anything, they were just music. Now, when we do get ornamentation, it didn't totally go away, but composers would specify the type and the amount of ornamentation they wanted. It wasn't up to the performer anymore. The composer put those notes in there. The composer was really taking back control of their own music. Some different forms that you find during this time. We get the serenade, the divertimento, we get string quartets, we get the classical symphony, we get sonatas, and the mass is expanded on. And it was really common to write mass. So masses are church services. And these are the different parts of a mass. So those of you who attend church services, you might recognize some of these words, or you might have seen these parts of a service but didn't really realize what was happening. We'll go over these a little more in detail in class. And now, the classical symphony has a very specific form. It has 4 movements, usually. You know, there's always the people who break the rules. And it will always, not always, but almost always follow this form. So over here, first movement, fast tempo, usually a sonata form. Second movement has ABA form. We'll talk about that more in class, usually slower. Third, triple meter later, scherzo. We'll talk once again with more detail in Class Connects. You need to come to Class Connects. Fourth is a rondo or a sonata form back to fast. So we start fast, we end fast. Some composers to be aware of during this time period, we get Haydn, Mozart, and Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. So Haydn's Surprise Symphony, there were little unexpected surprises in there for the listener. Magic Flute, written by Mozart. This is a part of an opera, and it's an extremely difficult aria. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. This is very iconic of Beethoven. It's the dun 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 dun. Well, you can actually go watch all of it on your own. Look it up. But it's that iconic symphony from Beethoven.
And as always, this is your friendly neighborhood reminder. These videos do not replace attending live class connects or watching the recordings. Attendance is the best policy, but recordings is second best. If you need any help from me whatsoever, my phone number and email are on the screen. Please reach out to me. That's what I'm here for, is to help you. That's what I do. Have a great day.